Welcome to this week's episode of the Success Realtor podcast by yours truly, Colleen Wood. Here is where we celebrate success in real estate and share the wisdom and struggles so others can be successful too. If you're a new listener, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders, and I'm known for helping realtors earn a lot more money in commissions without selling their soul to the industry and while maintaining balance with what's most important in life. I am over the moon excited to be talking with my dear friend, one of my most favorite people in the whole world, and broker owner, powerhouse PollyAnna Snyder of Engel and Volkers of Montana Real Estate. PA, I am so stinking excited to have you here today.
Well, Colleen, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm very, very, very excited and love sharing with you. I love sharing with other folks to understand this business a bit more, what it takes to be successful in this business. And if I can be of help to someone, I definitely wish to. So thanks for having me on today. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm so excited that you're willing to share. So let's just dive right in. How did you get started in real estate and what drew you to the business?
Well, it kind of went back to my childhood. My father was in the military and we moved a lot. We moved every 6 months to 2 or 3 years. And so I watched my family go through that process of buying and selling, moving across country, moving one state over. So I grew up in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably around 1999, 2000, bought my first home and I had a terrible real estate experience.
Oh, no.
I had someone who was very unethical helping me and my husband, and it was just a really horrible, horrible experience. And I thought, I could probably make this process a little bit better for folks
Yes.
and they could actually enjoy it. And I could help them shoulder some of the burden of this process and really educate them through the process. And so back at the end of 1999, beginning of 2000, I got my real estate. Actually, that's not true. I did not get my real estate license then. I started working on real estate projects, development projects outside of the country. One was in Grenada and one was in New Zealand.
Wow.
Thought life was going to go down a different path and that I might be living outside of the US for a while. Got married and then found out that I was pregnant with my first child. And I thought, maybe we need to stay home for a little bit and stay stateside. Grandparents take exception to that.
They do.
And so got my license and I've been in real estate now, whether working for developers or residential real estate sales for 24 years.
Wow. Wow. So you were not born and raised in Montana, but how did you gain credibility in a new market with your buyers, your sellers, and other agents quickly?
Well, it's interesting. I shared with you that I have a background of moving around the country a lot.
Yes.
And I'm originally from Kentucky. And actually, if you look back at a lot of Montana history, a lot of Montana was shuttled by folks from Kentucky and Tennessee after the Civil War, and particularly gentlemen from Kentucky that were used to working in the coal mines there.
Wow.
So Kentucky's a big coal mining state.
Mhm.
So many of those men moved and migrated to Montana to work in the mines out here. So there is a little bit of that connection. And I moved here 14 years ago. So Montana is now my home. I had never lived anywhere. I lived in Kentucky for 10 years, but in various places in Kentucky. And then after that, mainly Virginia, a little bit in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, but really Montana's home because I've been here for 14 years now. I built a real estate business in Southern California. I subsequently had a real estate business in North Carolina, then moved to Colorado. And so Montana is the fourth state that I have built a real estate business in. And, it was just really getting to know the people and engaging in the culture and engaging in the community that I was rooted in, and decided to, my children really can't, I guess we moved here when they were maybe 5 and 8. They really can't remember living anywhere else.
Yeah.
So this is home for us and this is where we're grounded, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be.
Absolutely. That's one of my most favorite things about you is you are not afraid to start over. you're not afraid to pick up roots and plant your roots somewhere else. I mean, 4 times starting over with real estate. What do you think is the best advice for new agents in a market to gain that sort of credibility?
I've really thought about that question. I knew you were going to ask it. And the key to this business, whether you're new, whether you're old, whether you've been doing this one day or you've been doing it 24 years, it's all about being able to ask the right questions.
Mm.
The key is learning how to ask open-ended questions, to engage people to talk about themselves. I love this industry. I'm very passionate about this industry. And there are two things that I enjoy about this industry the most. Number one is the puzzle. I love the puzzle of putting all the different parts together and bringing them into a cohesive closing.
Yes.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is that we are always meeting someone at a crossroads.
Mm.
They're upsizing, they're downsizing, they're getting married, they're getting divorced, they're relocating, they're retiring.
Mhm.
Maybe they're moving from their last home into assisted living. It's always at a crossroads. And it's always a mix of, I always say, high volatility.
Mhm.
It's high finance and it's high emotion.
Yes.
And we have to shoulder that burden for folks to get them to the finish line because they know what they want to do and they know where they want to go. It's this in between where we're the puzzle maker. We bring those pieces together to help them meet their goals, whatever they may be.
Wow. Wow. That's
So you
you're
got to be able
spot
to
on.
listen. You have to be able to listen.
Mhm.
But let me give you an example. I was talking with a client today, divorce situation.
Mm.
One of the partners would really like to keep the house and be able to rent it and add it to their portfolio. So I took a different approach. I almost took the takeaway and I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about how you can do that. Can you buy the other partner out? I mean, have you explored that? And well, maybe how would that work? And I explained how it would work. And what it did was it hit that person in the face. No, that's not what I want to do.
Mhm.
This property represents, a sad time in my life. And
Mm.
though, yes, in theory, I would like to keep the property, I really do need and want to sell it. And I
Yes.
said, that's why I asked you those questions, because I needed you to come to that realization. So it's all about asking the right open-ended questions.
I just got goosebumps when you said it that way, and I know that that's how you talk to your clients, and the way that you articulate your questions is also really important. That you're asking the questions, but you're doing it in a way that shows them how much you really do care and that they do need to slow down and think about their answer.
They do. They need to slow down and think about their answer. They need to think about their goals. They need to think about their needs. And really, the key is helping bring them to the realization. If
Mhm.
we're constantly talking at them,
Right?
they're not engaging. What is it a business coach used to say? You have to have buy-in.
Mhm.
Whether it's a buyer or a seller, they have to have weigh in order to have buy-in.
Yes.
And if we think our job is glorified taxi drivers and to be a social media princess, that is not what we do.
No.
At a certain level, you reach a point of working just beneath someone's financial planner, their accountant, their attorney. You've got to be able to speak on par with those people to
Mm.
help buyers and sellers achieve their goals. They need to have weigh in order to have buy-in.
That is so well said. That's so well said. That's exactly it. Pollyanna, what habits do you have that have made you so successful?
The good ones?
I think the good and the bad, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, good and bad. I mean, there's bad habits that maybe help us cope, or there's bad habits that have maybe sent us down a different direction, but we've learned from them.
Well,
Expound on any of that.
we all have different personalities. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. I think first is really identifying what you're strong at.
Mm.
And more importantly, realizing what you're not strong at.
Yeah.
So that maybe you find support for those types of things. So let me give you an example. When I first began in real estate, the joke in our office at the time was, PollyAnna will be flying down the hallway and papers are just flying everywhere. Okay. Papers are very important.
Yes.
But if I'm spending all day at my desk managing papers, the client's not being served.
Mm.
So, and I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but eventually I realized I needed an assistant, someone who was really good on the administrative side to help keep those papers together.
Mm-hmm.
That is not my strength.
Mm-hmm.
That is her strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So it's aligning yourself. Again, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Be real honest about that. And find systems or maybe people to help complement where you need help. I think that's very important. What was your question again, Colleen?
Well, just what habits that have made you so successful?
Okay. I cannot work from home. I know some people say that they can. I don't know that there are that many people who really can do it efficiently and effectively. I
Agreed.
realized early on, I can't work from home
Mm-hmm.
because then the laundry starts to get done. The house starts to get clean. Maybe I need to take the dog for a walk. Oh my gosh. I'm sure there's some corner I need to go stand in and a tile I need to scrub. And by the end of the day, I haven't done any work. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to have a separation,
Mm-hmm.
personal life and professional life. Working from home does not work for me. I must come into an office.
Mm-hmm.
My copy's here. My staff is here. And you know what? Clients don't want to meet you at your house.
No.
It does not look professional.
No.
Many cases, they really don't want to meet you at a coffee shop.
No.
In fact, we call our offices shops because people come in to buy and sell,
Right.
just like you would Nordstrom's or Target. So we invite people into our shops. This is where our television screens are in order to show them property. It's where our support materials are. It just looks more professional. For the love of Jiminy Christmas, we are generally helping someone with their single largest financial transaction.
Yes.
They need to see that you are professional and can help them through that process. And I'm sorry, I don't think that can be done in a home office or Starbucks.
No, I agree with you.
So coming into an office, it's having business hours. It's understanding that our time on is our client's time off.
Mm.
They can talk to you. They can see real estate. They can focus on those needs generally when they're not at work.
Right.
So that is evenings and weekends.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is really a 24/7 business. I need to be in here in my shop during the day to prepare for my showings,
Right.
to negotiate contracts, to work with inspections and appraisers and all kinds of other issues that come up.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of that puzzle making. So come into an office, be a professional, come into an office. To me, that's my biggest one. 2, keep a clean car. Okay, when clients have to climb into a car and you got to move kids' stuff and their goldfish on the floor, and my vehicle is an extension of my workspace.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe carry some tools in your car with you. I travel with water bottles. I travel with toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
How many new construction homes do we go to? Somebody's got to go to the potty.
Mm-hmm.
Carry toilet paper because most of those homes don't have toilet paper in them. So water bottles, toilet paper. I always carry a city map with me because I'm always drawing on it and showing people where we are relative to maybe where their work is going to be or where they live right now, etc.
Wow.
which means you need to carry a Sharpie marker and probably a highlighter with you as well. So I keep a little box in the back of my car that carries all that stuff. Prepare, prepare for success.
Wow. That's amazing. I've never heard anybody say that. And that's amazing. You're so right. Your vehicle is an extension of your office and you need to be prepared. People expect you to be prepared. And I do want to comment just on what you said that our on time is your client's off time. Turns out people that are able to buy real estate typically have a job and they have expectations of showing up to a job, or maybe they don't have a job, but they have other things that are tying them up. But most of the time, they have something that they're doing 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's going to be something that you're going to be showing them property or talking with them or meeting with them on the weekends or at night. You're so right.
Yep. So prepare for your success. When
Mhm.
you're going to show property, have information for all your clients about each property that you can take with you. Have notes for yourselves. Research the property before you go to it.
Right.
Don't just read the public comments, read the agent notes.
Mhm.
Is there an easement or a setback on the property? Maybe when was the septic last inspected? Is it being advertised as a 5-bedroom house, but only 3 bedrooms have, egress windows and closets? So 2 of them are non-conforming. Do your research ahead of time. We are not glorified taxi cab drivers.
Right.
That is just a means to an end,
Mhm.
is driving. Now, personally, I like always having my clients in the car with me.
Mhm.
I want to hear their conversations. I want to see their facial expressions.
Wow.
I want to hear what is important to them and being able to stop, change, shift. Can't do that if they're in another vehicle.
Right. Right. That's one of my things that I learned so much from you and talking with you because, and we're going to talk about your team here in just a second, but there are things that you absolutely are old school about. Because I see a lot of people, a lot of realtors that don't put clients in their cars anymore. And, they kind of laugh when you say, hey, before you put someone in your car, make sure it's a good use of your time. And they'll laugh and say, oh, I don't put them in my car anymore. But I love that you do because it's an experience for them and an experience that you're trying to control some of the whole experience for them, that they're having a great experience with you start to finish.
Mhm. It,
I
it
think
is.
that's
That's how
amazing.
I ask my open-ended questions. I let them know none of these houses are my home. I
Mhm.
want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
What is the issue to you? Because that's going to help me go, aha, we're on the wrong side of town.
Yeah,
You need to be closer to the gymnastic center,
right.
up in the northeast side of town. Or maybe we really need to be down in Gallatin Gateway because you want some horses, or
Mhm.
you like that view over this view, or whatever the case may be. I need to hear the conversation going on.
Yes. Yes, that's so right. So let's talk about your team. You have a small team that just works only your business. What do they do for you?
They keep me in line is what they do for me. So I have an administrative assistant
Mhm.
who's not licensed.
Mhm.
And she's the paper guru.
Mhm.
She's helping communicate with my clients, with the title companies, with the inspectors, with the appraisers. She's helping keeping me in line on that side of my business. I then have another assistant that is a licensed assistant.
Mhm.
And he really is my third hand. As moms, we always wish we had a third hand. Well, I'm fortunate that I have a phenomenal third hand and he can help me with showings.
Mhm.
I can go, it allows me to go out of town occasionally.
Mhm.
It allows him to go out of town occasionally. We can keep
Right.
the wheels rolling and things moving forward. And we're not, when I first started having success in real estate, I felt totally changed. Like I could never go out of town.
Mhm.
And having really competent people as teammates and we all work together, and they have full license to boss me around,
Mm-hmm.
which they really like on some days.
That's awesome.
And we've worked together for several years, and they're just really good people.
At what point in a real estate business do you recommend that a realtor hires somebody to their team?
That is a really good question. When I first started in real estate, it was before I had my son. Had my son, and then all of a sudden your world turns upside down. You have this a human being that's totally dependent upon you. And that was about the same time my business was really taking off too. And that sweet little baby, he went to all open houses I did. My clients got to where they wanted to see him, not necessarily me. Again, I was the car driver. I was a glorified taxi cab driver.
Mm-hmm.
That I say don't be. Number one, I started to have small children. Number two, my business started to take off. And I think it was around the time maybe I started selling around, I'm just going to give you a number. Maybe it was $15 million a year. Maybe it was, 24 transactions a
Mm-hmm.
year that I realized that, let me rephrase it. Everyone else around me realized that I needed help. I have a hard time asking for help.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get an assistant. And then to relinquish control over some things to an
Mm-hmm.
assistant.
Right.
Sometimes how we joke, how we got to clean the house before the cleaning lady comes.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I got to get the work done before the assistant comes. It's like, no, 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 no. You need to turn that over. So I'm going to guesstimate maybe around $15 million, maybe around 24 transactions a year. Now, that all depends. You could be someone with 3 little children getting in and you
Right.
need it beforehand. Or maybe you're already in a team with a business partner and you wait a little bit longer. When that anxiety level starts to rise and you're not sleeping and you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about a transaction or something, it might be about the time to try and find some help. And maybe you don't need someone full time initially.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's someone else in your office that might need someone part time too, and you can go in together and split a person.
Yes.
But it's that work life balance that really causes that need for an
Absolutely.
assistant.
So, what tasks, I mean, just like we talked about before, there's certain things that you've told me that you will never let someone else do, that it must be you. What tasks would you never delegate? It will only be done by you.
I write my contracts.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I might not call ahead to my assistant CC and say, hey, can you start to get the framework set up? Not
Right.
that she's inputting anything, but start to get the document. She's got her check sheet. Let's start to get these documents all in place. But I write my contracts. I hear of agents that don't even write their contracts. I'm like, how does an assistant know what to write? They've never been to the property. I write all my contracts. I negotiate all my contracts.
Wow.
I write all of my inspection notices. So that's, the document you give when you want in California, we called it a request for repair. That's your
Okay.
request for repair. I write that because I try to attend the walkthrough of all my inspections. There are many agents that get to a point in their career and they feel that that's beneath them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why very few of my transactions fail. Yes, I do micromanage them, and I feel strongly and passionately about what my job is.
Right.
I'm the one with the license.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that's what I get paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to attend all closings because it's kind of like the cherry on the cupcake.
I
It's
love
the
attending
end.
closings.
It's the culmination of all this work and just
Mm-hmm.
the excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to be there to recognize them. It's
Yes.
not about us. It's about them. Sometimes if it's a morning closing, I show up with coffee. If it's an afternoon closing, sometimes I show up with champagne. And it just adds that little punch at the end.
It really does. And you're a very, very successful realtor, and you haven't gotten so big for your britches that you don't show up and to your closings and show up to put that big red bow on the transaction and on the house, on the door I'm sure you don't put the ribbon on the doors. You probably
Oh,
have somebody help you.
Cecilia is far more qualified the bow putting up
I
than I
love
am.
that you
Yes.
do that. I love that you do that. And I love that there's just certain things that nobody else is ever going to do that. You're not above doing any of that hard work. And that's always just been something I respect tremendously about you. So you have a large group of realtors that work in your brokerage and several offices. You and your husband have purchased offices, renovated offices to make them look so classy. And you have lots of agents that work for you. What do you look for in an agent before you allow them to join your team?
That is an excellent question. And I've brought on some the easy way and I've brought on some the hard way and really learned a lesson. There's a great author out there, and the folks listening have never read any of his books. He's phenomenal. They're short reads. They're great business fables, and Paul Lencioni.
Mm.
And I can't remember the name of the book, but he talks about when hiring people, there are three qualifications that he uses. Having learned the hard way, I now understand what he means by they need to be humble, hungry, and smart. It doesn't work if they're hungry and smart or hungry and humble, but they're not smart. They need to be hungry, humble, and smart.
Wow.
And I would say the most important one of those three is humble.
Mm,
We work in an industry where after a couple of years, people lose their sense of humility.
yes.
And when you step into the world thinking that you are the most important part of this business or you're the most important part of this transaction, you are gravely mistaken.
Hmm.
It is not about us. We are the puzzle maker. We are the facilitator,
Hmm.
but it is not about us. And that is a fault that I see too many realtors is that they make the business about them. And it's not.
No.
It's about our clients.
You're right. We do see that a lot. And when we had so much real estate turning over and it appeared from the outside looking in like it was easy. We got a lot of beautiful people who wanted to do beautiful photography, but the substance behind it was
Photography
not
of
there.
themselves, not the
Yes.
properties,
No,
photography of
photography of
themselves.
themselves, social media divas, but the
Yes,
substance behind it was not there. And
right.
I think some of those are coming out in the wash now, but there was quite a bit of that. And I really appreciate that about you that's one of the things that's so important is that the people that you have in your circle are humble. And
Mhm,
we all make mistakes in this industry and we all need to continue to learn. And it's important that people can step it down a notch.
mhm.
Remember who it's about.
Remember who it's about. And those are the agents that I like working with,
Hmm.
those that are humble, hungry, and smart. And it is the 90-10 rule. 10% of the people do 90% of the business. And there's a reason why.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. So you have some of the most beautiful listings around, I think. I feel every time I see something that you're posting as a listing, I'm like, oh my gosh, where does she find all these houses and how does she score these listings? So, how do you distinguish yourself from the competition with your listing presentation? How are you able to get these listings all the time?
Well, at this point in my career, we help every agent here do the same, keep a record of where their business comes from.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the year, we want to help you spend your marketing dollars and we want to spend our marketing dollars helping you as an agent achieve your goals. And that's by helping your clients.
Hmm.
And at this point in my career, 91.7% of my business comes from repeat and referral business. Now, it makes my job a whole lot more fun to do that. It takes a long time to build a referral based business.
Yes.
Again, it's all about my clients. It's all about their properties. It's spending the extra money and using professional photography, drone imagery, staging of the property, whether it's having someone come in and stage it or staging it virtually, because most people cannot visualize
Right.
space. I really can't visualize space that well, especially when it's vacant and, and empty. But it's working really hard is really what it is. It's working really hard and understanding the tools and spending your time and your resources on the tools that are going to help your clients, not you, but your clients. And one beautiful property probably begets the next beautiful property. You start to build a track record of working with those types of properties. And I also had the benefit of having marketing venues with organizations I belong with and to that I've earned the right to work with that really propels my properties on a much more international level. And so that has also been helpful. I can set myself apart from other brokers in town through those marketing channels.
Mhm.
And then at this point in my career, I can be very selective. I don't want every listing.
Right.
I don't want to work with every seller.
Mm-hmm.
I learned early on that, pardon my French, but jackasses refer other jackasses.
Oh,
So
that's so true.
I know it's amazing, isn't it?
Ah,
And so I've always wanted a sign out in front of the store, the big yellow sign with a donkey on it and an X. This is a jackass free zone.
mhm.
And once you work with really good people and you can be selective with who you work with, it makes their experience and your experience so much better.
Mhm.
So just make it a policy, jackass free zone.
And you're so right. Certain kinds of clients are going to perpetuate more clients exactly like them. And
And there are those clients that will make you speak in tongues.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you've done quite a bit of television, commercial, and social media over the years. You've tried lots of different things. Do you think that it's important in a marketing plan to do that kind of stuff?
Well, yes and no. Some of the television that I've done, I would never have done again.
Mhm.
It was not a great expenditure of resources. A couple of my clients got some really cool exposure. Do I think it helped me sell more property? No, I think it actually cost me some business. Social media, yes, has a certain presence that is important.
Yes.
I like featuring my clients' properties. Again, it's not about me.
Mhm.
It's not about me shoveling snow and pushing trash cans and where I'm eating, what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with. That is not the caliber of clientele that I want. They do not want to see that. They don't care and they don't want to see it. And they think it's very superficial and not necessary.
Mhm.
So I like to educate. I like to inform. I like to share my clients' properties, share fun things around the area. But
Mhm.
again, it's not about me.
I love that. I love that. We've talked about doing television stuff before, and you're so right. I think you even shared with me at one point that people seeing you doing television, they felt like you weren't going to have time for them, and how heartbreaking that was for you because it was absolutely not the case. But people make all different kinds of opinions about things when they see you visually doing things.
Mhm. It is.
Mhm.
I broker real estate for a living. I'm not a TV personality. That's not what I'm here for.
Mhm. You're so
If
right.
I find a venue where maybe my client's property could benefit from something, then yes, but it's not about me.
Right. Right. So if you lost everything today, what would you do first to rebuild it all?
Well, I can think back to 2009 and I lost everything. owned 7 properties in one way or the other, lost all 7. I have built 4 real estate businesses. I'm going through my 3rd recession. It takes hard work and tenacity. Real estate is never going away. It may slow down. It may speed up. Interest rates rise, interest rates lower, but real estate isn't going away. It is the one tangible asset that really helps a family or an individual, whether it's their primary residence or it's an investment property. Had I do it all over again, I would have bought those previous investment properties differently, knowing what I know now. But I would do it again. I would just buckle down and I
Wow.
would build it all over again. I'm licensed in 5 states. I'm a broker in 3. I've built 4 real estate businesses. It's freaking hard work and tenacity is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I would do it the same. I've done it, however, I've done it for 24 years in 4 states.
Are there any specific lessons do you feel like that you've learned along the way that have just been pinnacle changes in your business as you have had to pick things up and start over and do it over again and go into different markets? Anything that you're like, man, I wish I would have known that before?
Well, part of the yes and no. There are certain things about the last recession that, yes, maybe I would have bought properties differently. And, financially, there were certain financial things that I would do differently that I've taken and learned that lesson. It's taking your paycheck and it's putting money aside to invest. It's putting money aside for taxes and learning those lessons because we're self-employed.
Right.
So financially, the world's a little bit different for us. Again, it's all about communication.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, God gave me a mouth that doesn't stop very much. I engage with people.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where I go or what state. Maybe I'm visiting or I'm on vacation. I'm always engaging with someone.
Yes.
I was in a restaurant in Santa Barbara, California last weekend. Gentleman's sitting a couple of tables over. He had on a Yellowstone hat. And I'm like, oh,
You can't help
oh,
yourself.
I can't help myself. No, I've got to, first off, number one, none of us wear those hats. But,
No.
I can't help myself and I got to go talk to him. Of course, talk to him for half an hour. Oh my gosh, they're coming to Bozeman in September. Oh my gosh, they're coming for a wedding. Oh my gosh, they're staying down the street from me. And I said, look, this wedding's going to be the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be 80 degrees and sunny or it's going to be 30 degrees and snowing.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, you're not going to come dressed appropriately. So here's my number. Let me know when you're coming. If you need an extra coat, you need a pair of boots or something, I'm down the street.
I love
And we've been chatting now for about 10 days.
that. Mm-hmm.
It's just engaging with people. For the most part, people want to engage.
Yes.
And again, it's bringing out their why.
Mm-hmm.
Bring out their why and their goals and their needs and helping them meet it. So many people I talk to, they're not interested in real estate right now, but if I can make that connection, they come back.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone today. Okay, today is March 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I met this person in September of 2018.
Oh my gosh.
Now we're working on a transaction together. It's engaging with people and it's finding systems to continually touch your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone doesn't want to buy today doesn't mean they're not going to buy or they're not going to sell today. They will. I mean, how often do people generally buy and sell? Like every 5
Every 3 years? Yeah.
3, 5,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you want to be top of mind when they think real estate.
Absolutely.
3 years from now.
Yeah. So at this stage of your life, you're of an age and stage. What qualifying factors are non-negotiables for people, friends, coworkers that you allow in your world?
I have 3 that are non-negotiable. And it's called learning the hard way. It's honesty,
Mm-hmm.
it's integrity, and it's authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Be authentic. If you're going to call me on my poop, just call me on my poop and let me call you on it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
going to make mistakes. We are human. We are not perfect.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm going to give you respect as long as you give me respect.
Yes.
And so, integrity, honesty, and authenticity would be my top three.
Wow. So wrapping up, how do you define success?
Colleen, I don't know how much I sell every year until the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my husband, who's my business partner. We go over what we accomplished for the year. I don't know how much I sell. I don't know how much I make. I have not seen a paycheck in probably 12 years.
Wow.
Do I know the mortgage is paid? Yes. Do I know there's money in my account to go to the grocery store? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I am not driven by money.
Mm-hmm.
Success for me is now, yes, I like food with my meals. And yes, I like to travel. And yes, I get my monthly allowance that if I want to buy something, I can with a
Yeah.
reason. Okay. But money does not drive me. I can go do other things and make more money, but I couldn't wake up every day. I thrive off waking up every day and putting the puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I going to help today put the puzzle together?
Yeah.
And having enough knowledge to help other agents craft a transaction. There are many times I'm on the buying side and I'm helping the listing agent. There's sometimes I'm on the listing side and I'm helping the buyer's agent.
Right.
Because if I can help the buyer's agent craft an intelligent offer, then their client and my clients are protected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my clients getting into a situation where they're not protected due to the lack of experience on the other end.
Right.
Action. Okay. So success is someone calling me back. I hadn't heard from a client. We hadn't talked in a while. Spoke with them yesterday. They had a tragic death in their family. Almost a year and a half ago. And I know they've needed time to heal. And for them to reach out to me with a real estate question, that was success.
Yes. Yes.
The call back, the, hey, PollyAnna, I need help with this, or what can you recommend? I like being a resource for people.
Mm-hmm.
And success to me is they call me because they want to craft something. Hey, we're thinking about an investment property, or maybe we're going to sell this investment property and we want to do this. And I know enough about 1031 exchanges, where it's your primary residence, where it's a secondary home. I know enough to help them craft what they want to do. That's my definition of success.
Wow.
And to be able to help other agents do the same thing kind of gives me a sense of, I feel like maybe after 24 years, I kind of feel like I've arrived.
That's amazing. You've really identified what your purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many, even successful agents out there that will not help maybe a newer agent to help them figure out what it is that they need to do in order to write a decent offer. And they just let them flail. And I know that you would not, you would reach out and say, hey, if you would kind of head it in this direction, or if you would word it this way, it might be something that my seller might be able to consider a little bit better. That's just helping to lift other people up. That's like what we're doing right now in recording this podcast and you telling people your secrets on how you've been so successful. You're just lifting other people. And I just love that about you.
Well, thank you. And it's all about communicate, communicate, communicate. And there are a lot of times that I have to look at younger agents who like to live behind a telephone.
Yes.
And I look at them and say, you got to pick up the phone.
Yes.
You got to pick up the phone. Well, it's going to be a hard conversation. I said, well, it ain't going to be any easier over a text message or email. Let me tell you that, because it's really going to land like a fart in the tub.
Yep.
So pick up the phone.
Yeah. And do it
And
the first time you know of the problem. Do it right now.
Do it right now, because it ain't getting any easier down the road.
No.
It is not getting any easier.
Mm-hmm.
So just pick up the phone now. And a lot of times you can diffuse the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
by picking up the phone, because people aren't expecting you to pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Right.
expecting you to sidestep it and walk around it. And oh, let's send a text message. Oh, let's send an email. Oh, no one can hear the inflection in your
Right.
voice, the sincerity in your voice. And dimes to donuts, it's to land like a fart in the tub.
Mm-hmm. You crack me up. Yeah, you're so right. So right. You've got to have those conversations, especially if they're hard conversations. You've got to have those person if you can, so they can see it
Yeah.
in your eyes that
Yeah.
you care for them. And maybe you have to pivot in a different direction, but you have an answer. I always say for me and my team is it's like, if I've got bad news, we're going to tell them right now. We're going to tell them immediately, but we're going to come to them with a solution. So here's the bad news. Here's the direction. If there's a potential solution, I don't call them with, here's the bad news, talk to you later. I
Yeah.
always, call them like, hey, this went this way, but this is the direction I think we can go. Are you willing
And
to play the
here's
game?
plan B, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's plan B, and here's the other direction. Here's how we're going to go. And that's what I'm always trying to. In a previous life, I was a lobbyist. And so I always say I'm always lobbying and advocating for my clients,
Mm-hmm.
always.
Mm-hmm.
So before I call you with bad news, dimes to donuts, I've got a solution.
Absolutely.
I need to give you the bad news first.
Mm-hmm. We got to get that out.
Now, let me get it out. Let me just pop the zit. Let's just get it on out. Now, let me share with you what I think are some solutions to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I heard you say one time, this is plan A, and then we have a plan B, C, D, E, all the way to Z. We've got plans, and we've got to be willing to pivot and go with a different plan. And it's
Right.
okay if we don't end up on plan A. It's okay.
Right.
But we've got
Okay.
a solution. And
Right.
and it's still
Sometimes plans
success.
B, C, and D are actually better in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's looking at a seller and going, now's not the time for you to sell.
Oh, yes. Which how many realtors would just be like thinking about their paycheck and not thinking about what's best for their client? And that's really where you can see the quality of not only the agent, but of the human,
Yeah.
that you're going to see that this isn't the right thing for you.
I had a client last month, all of January and February. She really wanted to buy this property. And I said, this is not the property for you. And
Mm-hmm.
here's all the reasons why. And she had grandiose ideas that it was going to be a $30,000 remodel. And I said, if you get out of here in less than 150, you're going to be lucky. And oh, by the way, the property you're looking to buy and what you're looking to do is not the highest and best use of that property.
Yeah.
So you're putting money into something that it's not necessarily making it more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's maybe turn, yes, it's going to take a longer amount of time, but let's wait for the right property to come up for you.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, what? I'm like, this is not the property shield.
Mm-hmm. Do you wait for somebody to ask your opinion, or do you just dive right in?
My husband will tell you I got an opinion on everything. And I might have two opinions on everything. That's hard. It's funny. I was meeting with some clients this morning and they were trying to decide between something. I said, I know you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to give you my opinion. It really depends upon your relatedness with the person you're talking with. But yes, I have an opinion on everything. I try to wait. I try to ask, do you want my opinion? Sometimes I have to bite my tongue. And then sometimes I try and find a soft way to ask open-ended questions, which through those questions is eliciting my opinion and helping them help themselves through my question. That's a key. That's
Mm,
a skill, is to be able to ask really good open-ended questions, not yes or no questions,
mm-hmm.
open-ended questions.
Right. And then say, tell me more.
Right.
Why do you feel that way?
Right.
What's drawing you this direction? I've found on my side of it, the lending side of it too, that part of my job, and I know you feel the same way, is to put somebody in a better financial situation than when I found them.
Right.
And so they might have come to me with an idea as to how they're supposed to finance something or how they're going to utilize this property or, how they're going to occupy it. And I had a client, I talked to a realtor this morning, and he had grandiose ideas of buying a ski condo for himself to be able to ski out of in the northwest of Montana. And the numbers just really did not work for him to do that. And so we looked at doing a debt service loan, an investment property loan where the rent would need to cover the payment. And very quickly, we were able to develop that it wasn't necessarily about him having a place to ski out of. It was about him having an asset that would help pay him. And so I was asking him the right questions, and we developed that if you were to buy a multiple unit property, you would make so much more money, and then you could ski from anywhere. And any short term rental or any somebody else's condo, you can ski from Japan or you could go to Utah. But buying this one condo wasn't going to be the right answer. And it just really kind of made my heart sing that, we were giving great advice.
I am going to laugh. I am going to fall on the sword. I did have a longtime client and friend. We were talking about a property the other day, and I could just hear the fear
Yeah.
in his voice, and his wife's pushing and she wants it. And, we laid out, we skimmed this property down to just about what the toilet paper cost to put in it. And they're going to not only break even, they'd make some money. And I said, and then you're not even taking into account the tax benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what tax bracket are you in? And he said, well, I'm in about the 45th tax bracket. And I said, I'm just going to be blunt. I said, you're an idiot if you don't buy this property.
Yes. 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 And some people are going to love that kind of communication. I've learned that most of my clients love me telling them exactly the way that I see it. And I've found that. And if some people don't love being talked to like that, that's probably not a good fit. And that's okay. We've got to
Because
do
I'll
our
tell
best
you the
job.
opposite, just like with this other gal. No, you don't need to be buying that property. This is a bad investment.
Mhm.
It's a good investment for this person, great
Right.
investment for this person. But for what you want to do in your budget and your capability, it is going to be a nightmare of magnanimous proportions.
Mm. I just love that about you. PollyAnna, you're one of my most favorite people on the whole planet. I love talking to you every single time. I feel like I get smarter and braver and wiser every single time I talk to you. You're just such an asset in my life. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm so grateful.
Yes. So welcome. We never have a problem talking. Thank you, Colleen. It was a pleasure.
Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Just as a reminder, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders. What we are known for are three things. Number one, we close on time. Number two, we keep our realtors in the sales seat at all times by keeping them up to date on their current transactions. And number three, when you entrust us with a lead, we follow up on that lead until they buy, fly, or die. Leads are never lost to our lack of follow-up. Our number one priority is for you to earn more money in commissions so that you can improve the lives of your family, community, and in turn, our country. So can I count on you for that next buyer lead? I would love to work with you too. Also, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please just reach out to my office. All right, we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Bye-bye.